Welcome back to Further Solutions Academy. Further Solutions Academy. Encourage us more to share our video anywhere you see it, and also subscribe if you have not subscribed before. On this channel we have over 300 videos for you to play with: mathematics, physics, chemistry, comprehensive videos. And just in case you want to reach us, you can comment below, or you make use of this line. Now you can do three things with this line. You can call us, you can WhatsApp us, and also Telegram is allowed. Either of the three you can make use of this. Now, in this video, I'll be walking you through trigonometry graph. We have a lot of videos, for like 5 videos on trigonometry, which you can play with. Now, the outline of this video, just to make you to understand how the relationship between trigonometry graph and normal graph, which we all know as quadratic or linear graph. Now, when we talk about graph, I've explained earlier that we are talking about two variables. Very, very important. Note that variable involve x and y, which it also move on to calculus. You know what is called calculus. One is what? There are two variables involved. One is dependent and one is independent. Very, very important. And also know that the value of s will be given because of what we call it real hazards. We call it real, and this is called imaginary, which I've explained that earlier if you watch our video on the algebraic graph. Now, but this time around, I'll be explaining trigonometry graph. I will be explaining trigonometry graph. Now, I'll be explaining trigonometry graph. Now, before we know it, we all know one common problem, like you are asked to solve a problem this way. Solve the equation 1 minus cos x squared equals to what? Equals to 0. Now I'm taking the value of x from 0 degree less than equals to x less than equals to what? 270. Now I've told you that when we talk about trigonometry, we are talking about degree of an angle, and I've told you that everything is being originated from a point. Now when I have a point and a circle, they are all the same. Now when I'm talking about points, it means I'm quoting 360. I'm quoting 360. Now, anything on trigonometry, we are playing around 360 because of what? An angle can be given. We have, these are the three. This one can be 0, 90, 270. 180 rather. 180 and 270 and back to 360. Now that is all what now when you have an angle that is greater than 360, it means you are free to cut down and get what you are talking about. Now it means I'm working from here. This particular is from the 0 to what? To 270. That's what I'm trying to explain there. But don't worry, make sure you watch our trigonometry for better understanding. Now when you have something like this, what can I do? Solution to this problem. Now solution. Now what I need to do is that I will relate with this problem 1 minus cos squared x equals to what? 0, as if I'm solving normal algebra. Now if I want to do it, I can say that let cos x equals to m. It means I'm 1 minus m squared equals to 0. Can you see that successfully you have a normal quadratic now, which I can answer that what? M equals to what? 1, which m squared equals to 1. M equals to root of 1. Now, which I have my m equals to plus or minus 1. Root of 1 is plus or minus 1. Now, it means I'm talking about m equals to 1 or m equals to what? Minus 1. Now, at this point, you would not say that hence m equals to what? Cos x. Now, what I will just do, m equals to cos x, it means I will have cos x equals to 1 or equals to cos x equals to minus 1. Now, x equals to cos inverse of 1 or x equals to, x equals to cos inverse of 1 minus 1. Now, when you press your calculator, from your calculator, just press shift, like this one is my calculator, shift cos, we have your cos inverse, which you have your cos inverse, and you put minus, you put 1 there, this one will be 0, equals to 0, or my x is equals to cos, shift cos of minus 1. Now, which is I have 180. That is the value of x. Now, can you see that this in terms of degree? Please, degree must be there. That shows that it's an angle. We're talking about angle. Now, something like this can happen like that, like that, like that. It means you can relate a normal, what's the trigonometry function, equation to normal, any form of equation you want to deal with. Let me show more examples before I work with a graph, before we talk about graph. Now, you can use graphical method on this one just because of it is only one variable. It does not, I think, you have it 1 minus cos square x equals to y. Now, this is running to what? Graph. Now, because that question himself is equals to 0, it means he's not allowed to use what? Graphical method, because of what? We are relating with what? Only one variable. Now, you can only use graphical method if and only if you have two variables, two variables, which is x and y. Now, you now set one to independent and one is what? Dependent, which is known as real and imaginary axes. Now, okay. Let me solve another problem just to put more effort on this. Solve that sine x minus 1 all over time x equals to 0. Now, for your information, why using x? I can decide to use anything, but know that I'm talking about what? Angle. And also, I can use theta. We mathematicians, we are used to, when it comes to angle, trigonometry, we are used to theta more. This is called theta. This is called theta. Now, we are used to theta more, but take note of that. It can be anything. I'm just setting the parameters, which is not a problem. Now, I have something like this. Solution to this problem. I have tan x plus 1 all over tan x equals to 0. Now, normally, I have tan square x plus 1 equals to divided by, this should be minus 2. Let me put it minus 2. I don't want minus 0 there. Let me put it, I am just setting the question to minus 2. Okay. Now, divided by, if you are a good mathematician, I just multiply all through by tan x, which divided by, tan x. Take note of that. There's nothing to do. I just multiply all through. Now, since I have that, I can now say that, what can I do? I can also say that let tan x equals to what? Let me use m. I'm used to m. Now, it means I'll be talking about m squared plus 1 equals to minus 2m. It means I'll be talking about m squared plus 2m plus 1 equals to 0. Now, what am I doing now? I think I've set it to what? A normal, simple equation. Now, what I will just do next is that I can also move, this is correct equation. I want to factorize it. Let me factorize. Factorizing. Now, 1 I'm setting 1 will be of self. It means I'll be talking about I'm talking about m plus m plus 1 equals to 0. If you don't understand potential method, please make sure you go on our video. We have it already. Now, I will have m squared is there. I have m plus 1 and plus 1, m plus 1 equals 0. It means m plus 1 equals 0 or m plus 1 equals 0. My m equals to minus 1 twice. Now, my m equals to minus 1 twice. Now, since I have minus 1 twice, now it means what I will just do is that, don't forget that I'm talking about ends. hence my m equals to tan x. It means tan x equals to minus 1. X equals to tan inverse of minus 1, which I will be having when I press this from my calculator. When you press a shift, now shift tan, it will have tan inverse and minus 1. You have minus 45. You have minus 45. Now, minus 45 is what you're going to get. Now, that is not your answer. Take note of that. That is not your answer. What next? What will you do is that now you know what is called quadrant. I've explained all this in our video. First quadrant, second quadrant, and third quadrant. I've explained that, which I explained quadrant. This is called quadrant. Now we have x, we have tan, and we have cos. This is called quadrant. Now negative tangent, which is going to be first and second and third quadrant. Now what says in second quadrant, it means I'll be talking about here will be 180 minus second quadrant. This is second quadrant. Now this one will be 180 minus 45. Now why here will be 1, here will be 360 minus 45. Now it means I will be referring to 135 degree and 315. Yes, 315 degree. It means my answers are 135 degree and or 315 degree. That is my possible value for that. Now, because of my time, let me quickly run to when we talk about the graph part of it, because this is just like I'm trying to explain so that you will know how to relate equation with what? With trigonometry. Now, let me explain when we talk about trigonometry graph. Now, normally, basically, we have 3 ratios and each of them has reciprocal. We all know what is called reciprocal of each of them. For instance, we have sine. This is the first ratio. The reciprocal of sine, we call it sine inverse. Sine inverse, which also the same thing as 1 all over sine of x, which also called what? Call it cosec x. Please take note of this. If I have my cos reciprocal, this is my reciprocal, this is the ratio. Please take note of that. This is a ratio, this is the reciprocal of it. Take note of that. This one will be cos inverse of x, same as 1 all over cos x, and same as what? Second x. And also, if I have my tan x, the reciprocal of tan x is tan inverse of x and 1 all over tan x, and also the same thing as what? Cot x. Please take note of that. Take note of those things. Very, very, very important. Now, this is the ratio, this is the reciprocal, and normally we title them cots and so on and so forth. Take note of those things very well. Now, what I'm talking about, let me start from tan. Let me start from sine. Sine is very good. And don't forget that my sine x, for instance, my sine x, also the same thing as what? Cos 90 minus x. Take note of that. We are referring to degree. And also, let me, before I move on, and also tan x can also be equals to sine x all over cos x. Please, we have done a lot of work on this. I'm just trying to show some revision. Is already on the platform, on the channel. You can watch over trigonometry video 2 on trigonometry. It will really be of help to you. Now, when we talk about sine graph. Let me just put it like this so that for better understanding. Now, when we talk about sine graph, the nature of sine graph, don't forget we're talking about angle, and we have to measure everything on what? On degree. Take note of that. Now, this is how my sine is always like this. Now, for instance, graph of y equals to sine x. Take note of this. When I have something like this, y equals to 3 sine x, I'm just trying to put some, some advice. Now, when you have something like this, take note of it. If there is 1 here, it means the limit, we just go beyond what? 1 and minus 1. It means what I'm trying to do here is like this. This one will be 1. This one will be what? Minus 1. Because of there is 1 here. Now, it will surely be, this is going to be 0. This is going to be 90. This one will be 180. I'm just setting it in 1990 interval, 270 and 360. Now they are all in the gray. Now the first thing is it will be like this. Now that is my what? Sine graph. This is how it always be. Hey, sorry, I didn't do it very well. I didn't measure it very well. Take note of that. It will be like this. Sorry. Now what I'm trying to do, this is my now can you see that is how my sine graph would be? Any form of sine graph, this is how it will be. Now why I'm talking about the form of for instance, when you have something like this, you know how to generate the table. Don't forget you have to generate table. If I'm you, S is just, let me quickly generate the table here so that you'll be able to understand. This is the table, how it will be. Table of y equals to sine 3x. Now, if I have something like this, my table, let me set it like this. This is how the table will be. This is going to be x in form of degree. This one will be 0. This one can be 0. Let me set off of 60, 120, 150, and 240, 300, and 360. Now I'm just setting it in form of 60. That is how the table will be like. Now, don't forget that my y, which is equals to 3 sine x, that is my y, which is called as. Now, what you just did there is 0. 3 cos 0, this one will be what? Is 0. Now, when you have it, just press 3, your calculator, press 3, and sine. The first one is 60. Which is I will have 2.6. Now the same way you have it, 3 sine 120. You have it 3, and also the same thing. We are having 120. This is 180. Sorry, not 150. Now 180, I have 3 sine 180, which is going to be what? Is 0. Now definitely I know that the next two numbers will be minus because of what? This is normal in second quadrant. Minus 2.6, and this one will be 0. Now when you plot this graph, what you just need to do here, the graph part, this is how the graph will be. Listen to me, this is how the graph will be. Now the graph will be like, let me quickly set up 0, 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, and 360. Now this is how the graph, you know how to plot graph. Don't forget your scale, don't forget those things, and I think I will explain that later. Now what you just need to do, since is this, for this particular value here now, the implication of this number, it means it will be setting up as 3 and minus 3. Think nothing for that. This one is 1, because of there is 1 here. Any coefficient of that trig will determine the what? the imaginary axis. And we all know that this is y-axis and this is your x-axis. And the same thing as y-axis and your x-axis. Now, since I have it, now what you just need to do is that when x is what? This is your y. When x is 0, you have it in form of what? Is 0. When x is 60, you have it is what? 3 point. This is going to be 3.6. Let me just, this one will be 1. This one will be what? 2. Now, this one will be minus 1 and minus 2. Now, that is 3.6. It will be somewhere here. And when s is 120, is also in 3.2. Now, when s is 180, it's in 0. When x is in 120, it will be minus something will be somewhere here, and also minus, and also is 0. Can you see without doing it? Now, I can now say that what? This will be the graph. Sorry, I'm sketching, I'm not plotting. I will tell you what and things you need to do when you are plotting a graph. Oh, it must not go beyond that. It's a curve. Can you see? Oh, not 180. Can you see now? That is how it is. That is how. Now, what I've done here, I've successfully plotted a sine graph without no problem. I've successfully plotted a sine graph. Now, with what I've explained here, that is very, very important. Take note of that any number that is attached here will determine what this place will be. That is just you will see it anyway as a normally, if you want to plot graph, the highest number is what? 2.6, and the lowest number is what? Minus 2.6. Take note of that. Now, let me go to cos before we end this part. Now, when I'm talking about cos also has its own funny part of it. Now, cos, now we are talking about cos graph, cos or cosine graph. Now, anyhow we call it. Now, when we talk about cos graph, now cos graph is always like this form. This is how it's always been. Now, if my y equals to cos theta. Let me use theta. I'll be using other parts. Now, listen to me. There is one here, very important. And also, if my cos equals to 2 cos theta. Now, take note of this thing very well. Now, once I want to plot a graph of cos, now this is how it will be. You know that this is imaginary axis, which is your y-axis, and this is your what? Your theta axis is a theta. This time around is no more x because of what is in theta in degree. Now, it's good to have it this way. Now, it's a graph. All I'm doing here, I'm sketching, I'm not plotting. Now, in your graph, you will do it very, very well. Now, take note of that. Now, once I have this, what I need to do is that, let me set up my, now this one will be 1. And this one will be minus, this one will be 1, this one will be minus 1. Just take note of that. And this one will be 0. And this one, it will be 90. It will be 90. It will be 180. It will be 180. And also 270. More than that, so on and so forth. They are in form of degree. Now, once I want to plot my graph, in cos graph, it will surely come like this. Now, it will now go down like this. Now, the turning point will be 1. Now, that is your cos. Can you see? Can you see? That is your graph. Now, it means if I should increase it, if that value increase to this side, it will come down and come down minus 90 again, and so on and so forth. That is how cos graph look like. Now, 1 here, if it is 2, that is what you need. We have 2 here as a coefficient. It means I will be having something like the same way that this one will now be 2 and this one will be minus 2. The same thing. Now, what you just need to do, this one will be 0, this one will be 90, this one will be 180 and 270. It continues. Now, what you just need to do is that the same way, this one will be what? Now, I will have something like this. Can you see? Can you see? That is how cos graph look like. Now, system, it can change when you have it in form of this form. It's possible to have it. Now, when the story can only change when you have, for instance, y equals to minus cos theta. Y equals to minus cos theta. Now, how do we tackle this one? This is minus 1. Take note of that. There is very important things. Now, you need to understand that it will also move like this, also move like this, and like this. Now, this is going to be 0. And now, this is going to be minus 1, which is going to be 1. Now, it means when you have it that form, here will be 90, here will be 180, and here will be 270. They are in degree, they are in degree, they are in degree. Now, it means it will come this way. Can you see? Now, what is changing it is this minus 1. That is what we need about that trigonometry. I mean, cos graph. Now, let's move on to sine graph. I mean, tan graph. That is very, very a bit funny graph. It's a very funny graph. Now, when we talk about tan graph or tangent, now tangent graph. Now, tangent graph is just like we are talking about. Now, tan graph is just like it's very funny graph because of what? Don't forget that at 90 it will cut off. It will be, you know, tan is always because between 0 and infinity, which is 90 first quadrant, and that really affects the graph part of it. For instance, when you have y equals to tan x. Now, what you just need to do when we set up our, this is sketching, I'm just sketching it for you. Now, this will be, let me just put this one is 1, and this one will be minus 1. Now, when you have in terms of cos, this will be 0. Now, this will be 90. This will be 180. This will be 360. This will be 360. Now, it will be like this. Now, since I have in this form, what you just need to this is going to be 0. Don't forget that it's our origin. Now, from 90, it will come this way. Now, here will now be now, and here will now be now. That is how sine graph is. It will cut off because it's going to infinite, and so on and so forth. Now, with all this, I think I've explained all what you need to know about sine graph, tan graph, and cos graph. In our next video, I will show 1 or 2 equations, to show real problem, how question can be formed from trigonometry. By now, you should understand what is called trigonometry graph, which is nature of sine graph, tan graph, and cos graph. Don't forget you are home with further Solutions Academy. Encourage us more to share anywhere you see our video and subscribe if you have not subscribed before. Once again, thanks for watching.